What I'm about to tell you today will completely change the way you are seen, the way you are valued, and the way women, younger or older, notice you instantly. And I'm not talking about money, looks, or fancy cars. I'm not talking about tricks, pick-up lines, or anything superficial. I'm talking about one simple truth that almost every older man gets wrong. One invisible mistake that keeps you invisible, overlooked, and forgotten. The moment you understand this, the moment you stop doing it, your energy changes and everything around you responds. Overnight, people start noticing, women start paying attention, respect, influence, and attraction all shift just like that. Most men have no idea why they are invisible, why they struggle to be seen, or why no matter what they do, they can't seem to attract the attention they deserve. They try too hard. They bend over backwards. They chase approval, validation, and recognition, and every attempt only pushes people further away. It's subtle, but it's deadly. And the shocking truth, you don't have to change your life to fix it. You don't need a new wardrobe, a better job, or a dramatic transformation. All it takes is understanding how energy, presence, and internal alignment work, and learning to stop the behaviors that silently sabotage you. By the time this video ends, you'll know exactly what most older men are doing wrong, why attraction has always seemed out of reach, and how a single shift in mindset and presence can make you magnetic, instantly respected, and unforgettable. And I promise you, the moment you implement this, life begins to respond differently. Doors open, conversations change, women notice, and you'll finally understand the power you've had all along, without ever begging for attention. Stay with me until the end, because this is the truth almost no one will ever tell you, and once you hear it, your life will never be the same. Let's start with the first thing that's silently holding so many men back from being truly magnetic, from being genuinely attractive. And I want you to listen carefully, because this is the part most people never admit, and almost no one talks about it. The single biggest mistake older men make, the one that keeps them invisible, overlooked, and sometimes even frustrated, is that they try too hard to impress others. It's subtle, it's quiet, but it's there in almost every interaction, every conversation, and it undermines everything else about you. Think about it. How often have you found yourself bending over backwards to show someone you're successful? Maybe you over-explain your achievements, or drop your accomplishments into casual conversation, hoping someone will notice. Maybe you feel the need to constantly prove your worth, your intelligence, or your status, or maybe it's even more subtle than that. Overcompensating in humor, trying to be charming when you don't feel it, or presenting a version of yourself that isn't really you. All of these behaviors have one thing in common. They're rooted in a need for external validation, and that need, whether you recognize it or not, is instantly visible to everyone around you. People may not call it out, but they feel it. Here's the thing about human psychology: we are wired to sense energy long before we even hear words or see faces. Your body language, your tone of voice, the way you move through a room, they all communicate far more than the stories you tell yourself. And when you're constantly trying to impress, your energy screams, "I need approval. I'm not enough as I am." That desperate vibration is the exact opposite of attraction. It pushes people away, even if everything else about you is impressive on paper. In short, trying to impress is invisible sabotage. It's like you're standing in a spotlight. But instead of radiating light, you're waving a sign that says, "Notice me, please." And the paradox is brutal. The more you try to be seen, the less you truly are. Now, let's unpack why this happens. Most older men believe that experience, wealth, or social status automatically equals attraction. And yes, those things can open doors, but they will never replace the deeper, magnetic force that comes from presence, self-assurance, and authenticity. When a man relies on his resume, his bank account, or even his past accomplishments to define his worth in the eyes of others, He's outsourcing his confidence. He's giving away the power that is already inside him, and he's asking the world to approve of him before he can feel worthy. That's not attractive. That's invisible, and often that's exhausting. And let me be very clear here, this isn't about arrogance or dismissing the value of achievement. Success, experience, and accomplishments are important, but they are not the core of magnetic energy. What makes someone captivating, what makes someone memorable, is when he can sit in a room and be himself without begging for attention, without leaning on status or approval, and still hold presence. That's the line that most older men never cross. They confuse proving with being. They mistake the act of showing for the energy of existing, and the world very subtly senses the difference. You may ask, how do I know if I'm guilty of this? There are signals everywhere. Do you feel the need to dominate conversations to get noticed? Do you find yourself embellishing stories, exaggerating achievements, or dropping people to appear important? Do you compare yourself constantly to others, secretly measuring whether you're enough by their standards? That's all part of the same pattern. It's not external, it's internal. It's the echo of a mindset that says, I am not enough as I am. And until that belief is confronted, every attempt to impress will fail to create real attraction. Here's the psychological insight that most people miss: people are drawn to presence, not performance. Your energy, your calm confidence, your authenticity, these are far more powerful than anything you can say, do, or show off. And here's the paradox: the moment you stop trying to impress, the very same people who seemed indifferent or distracted suddenly notice you. Women, younger people, peers, colleagues, they pick up on the shift immediately, even if they can't articulate it. Your energy changes. You stop vibrating desperation and start vibrating worthiness. And that worthiness is magnetic. That is why older men who learn to drop the need for approval become instantly more appealing. Overnight. Let's dig a little deeper, because this is not just about social interactions, it's philosophical, even existential. Trying too hard to impress is fundamentally a misunderstanding of self-worth. It's rooted in the idea that our value must be externally validated, that we can only be seen if we earn recognition from others. But every human being carries inherent worth. You don't need to prove it to anyone. The challenge, then, is internal. It's about recognizing that your presence, your being, and the choices you make in life are enough. You don't have to perform or entertain or compete. You simply have to be conscious of your own energy and honor it. That realization is not just liberating, it is transformational. And once you grasp this truth, you can begin to dismantle the behaviors that have kept you invisible. You start by observing yourself, noticing when you are seeking approval, catching yourself when you exaggerate or overcompensate, and pausing before you try to impress. Then, gradually, you replace that habit with something radically different: presence, calm confidence, and self-assurance. You learn to sit in rooms, walk down streets, and engage with people without the need to prove your worth. And here's the shocking part: people notice. Women notice. Colleagues notice. Friends notice. The energy you radiate becomes magnetic, naturally, effortlessly. It's not a superficial charm or a trick. It's the alignment of internal reality with external expression. When you no longer seek validation from the outside, you stop broadcasting insecurity. Instead, you broadcast certainty, power, and self-possession, and that is irresistible. That is the first step to becoming instantly attractive. That is the foundation for everything else we talk about. The energy, the mindset, the transformation that follows. I want you to think about this deeply. The single thing holding you back isn't age, isn't looks, isn't money. It's the invisible, quiet habit of trying too hard. It's a mindset that says, I need others to confirm that I'm valuable. And once you stop that, once you make the conscious decision to exist in your worth without asking permission, everything changes. Your presence commands respect. Your words carry weight. Your energy draws people toward you without effort. And that, my friend, is true attraction. So today, I want you to make a decision. Observe yourself, catch yourself, and stop the cycle of approval seeking. Stop bending for recognition. Stop trying to impress and start being. Because the older men who finally understand this, who internalize this, and who act on it, they don't just become attractive, they become unforgettable. They walk into rooms and life itself responds. People notice them in ways that money, power, or status could never buy. Overnight, they transform simply because they aligned their inner reality with their outer presence. And here's the final thought I want you to leave with. Your value is never determined by how hard you try to be seen. Your value is inherent, unshakable, and undeniable the moment you stop seeking approval. Step into that and watch your life change. Now that we've talked about the biggest mistake older men make, the constant need to impress, the endless chase for validation, let's move to the next step, the transformative step that actually changes everything. This is where most men get stuck. They stop seeking approval in theory, but they don't yet understand the power of letting go, the true magic that happens when you stop chasing validation and start cultivating presence. And this is crucial. The moment you stop seeking validation, your energy doesn't just shift slightly, it changes fundamentally. It transforms from desperate to magnetic, from overlooked to unforgettable, from average to instantly appealing. Think about it for a moment. Every interaction you have carries a subtle, invisible vibration. When you are constantly seeking approval, that vibration is heavy. It's loaded with tension, with worry, with the unspoken message, please like me, please notice me, please think I am worthy. And humans, whether consciously or unconsciously, detect that immediately. It's like a frequency your body emits before you even speak. But when you stop chasing, when you stop relying on the world to tell you you're enough, your energy suddenly aligns with a deeper truth. It becomes calm, confident, and self-possessed. And that shift alone is enough to turn heads. Let me be clear, this is not about arrogance or dismissiveness. It's not about pretending you don't care or walking around as if nothing matters. That's still performance, and performance is visible. The power comes from internal alignment. It comes from knowing your value and allowing that knowledge to be reflected naturally in your presence. You don't have to say it, you don't have to show it, and you don't have to prove it. It simply is. That is what people respond to. That is what women, younger and older alike, sense immediately. Here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and everyone automatically gravitates toward them, even if they say nothing? That is the power of energy, the power of presence, and it's directly tied to whether or not they are seeking external validation. They aren't trying to impress anyone. They aren't chasing approval. They simply occupy space with confidence that is grounded in self-assurance, not ego. And this is the secret most men miss. You become magnetic not by what you show, but by what you stop doing. Psychologically speaking, when you stop seeking validation, something remarkable happens inside your mind. The constant tension, the need for reassurance, the anxiety of judgment, all of it begins to dissolve. Your focus shifts from others' opinions to your own internal compass. You start living your life for yourself, on your own terms, and that shift has a ripple effect. You carry yourself differently, you speak differently, you interact differently, and the people around you, whether consciously or unconsciously, feel the difference. Your energy signals self-possession, and that is far more attractive than any effort you could make to impress. Now, let's break down what this actually looks like in real life. First, you stop over-explaining yourself. You don't feel the need to justify every choice or every achievement. You stop name-dropping, oversharing, or exaggerating. Second, you stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a silent form of approval seeking because it measures your worth against someone else's perceived value. The moment you release it, You free yourself from a mental trap that erodes confidence. Third, you stop chasing attention. You stop fishing for compliments, responding to every little critique, or reacting emotionally to judgment. Instead, you respond with calm, deliberate energy, and people can feel that stability. And here's where it gets truly interesting. The moment you stop seeking approval, the world starts seeking you. People are drawn to certainty, to confidence, to alignment. Women are drawn to men who don't need their validation to feel whole. Colleagues are drawn to men whose presence is grounded and reliable. Friends are drawn to men who are secure in themselves. That magnetic effect isn't manufactured. It's a natural consequence of internal harmony, and it happens overnight for men who truly understand this principle. One day, the energy you project is desperate. The next, it is magnetic, and everyone notices. Philosophically, this is not just a tip about dating or social dynamics. It's a life lesson about freedom and self-mastery. Seeking validation from others is a subtle form of slavery. It binds your energy to external outcomes, to opinions that are often fleeting, inconsistent, and irrelevant. Letting go is an act of liberation. It is a declaration that your worth is inherent, not earned, that your presence matters, not because of what you show or prove, but because of who you are at your core. And once you embody this truth, everything in your life starts to respond differently. Doors open, opportunities appear, relationships shift. The energy you emit becomes irresistible because it is authentic. And here's a crucial insight. This doesn't require perfection, wealth, or charisma. It doesn't require a new wardrobe, a fancy car, or even a dramatic change in lifestyle. It requires self-awareness and conscious choice. You observe where you're seeking approval. You notice when you're bending for recognition. You catch yourself in moments of insecurity or overcompensation, and then you stop. That one decision, to stop seeking validation, is more powerful than months of self-help routines, more effective than any superficial charm or technique, because it aligns your inner reality with your outer presence. That alignment is magnetic. That alignment is irresistible. Let's also talk about the subtle ripple effects. When you stop seeking approval, you inspire respect in others without even trying. You set boundaries naturally, not through confrontation, but because your energy signals that you are not available for manipulation or unnecessary judgment. You become a person whose opinion matters not because it is loud, but because it is measured, deliberate, and grounded. You become someone whose presence is sought after, not because you chase it, but because you radiate it. Now, I want to give you a practical way to start implementing this today. Start small. Notice the moments in your day where you seek approval. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's in social situations, maybe it's even in conversations with family. Pause and ask yourself, do I need their recognition to feel worthy right now? If the answer is yes, take a conscious step back. Observe your energy. Take a breath. Align yourself internally. And then act from a place of self-possession rather than external validation. Over time, this becomes a habit, and the shift in energy becomes permanent. And here's the truth you must remember: the older men who truly master this, who stop chasing approval, who stop seeking validation, they don't just become attractive, they become unforgettable. Their presence dominates rooms without effort. Their conversations carry weight. Their energy commands attention naturally. And women, younger or otherwise, sense it immediately. They are drawn not to what these men do, but to who they are. That is the ultimate form of magnetism, and it is available to any man willing to release the need for external validation. So today, I want you to reflect on this. How much of your energy are you wasting trying to prove that you're enough? How much of your power are you giving away to the opinions of others? And more importantly, what would happen if you decided, right now, to stop seeking approval? What doors would open? What opportunities would present themselves? What energy would you finally claim for yourself? Because when you make that decision, when you truly commit to it, the transformation is immediate. The shift is undeniable, and the world responds. And here's the closing thought I want you to leave with: attraction, respect, and influence are not earned by proving your worth. They are revealed the moment you stop chasing validation and start embodying it. Stop seeking, start being. Watch how your life changes overnight. Now that we've understood the mistake that keeps older men invisible, the constant need to impress, and the transformation that comes from stopping the chase for approval, we arrive at something even deeper, something that most men never truly grasp. It's not just about what you stop doing, or even about your mindset. It's about understanding the real source of attraction. And this is where the game changes completely. You see, attraction is not about looks, not about money, not about status. Those are surface level things, and while they might open doors, they will never sustain attention or respect. Real attraction, the kind that is magnetic and undeniable, comes from energy and presence, from the way you occupy space in the world. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever noticed men who are average in appearance, ordinary in wealth, even quiet in personality, yet everywhere they go, people notice them? Women are drawn to them, colleagues respect them, and friends seek them out. And then there are men who, despite having money, power, or looks, remain invisible. They are overlooked, ignored, and sometimes even forgotten. The difference is subtle, but it's profound. It's not in what they have, it's in how they carry themselves, the energy they emit, and the presence they maintain. Here's the truth that most men never acknowledge: humans are wired to respond to energy before they respond to words. Your posture, your tone, your facial expressions, the rhythm of your movements, these are signals far more powerful than anything you could say. And the fascinating part is that this energy is invisible, yet everyone perceives it. Women, younger or older, sense it instinctively. They are drawn not to a resume, not to a flashy car, not to a fancy lifestyle. They are drawn to confidence that radiates from being comfortable in your own skin, to presence that doesn't require permission, and to energy that is aligned, calm, and commanding. This is where the philosophical depth comes in. Most men believe attraction is external. They believe they must change their appearance, enhance their wealth, or engineer social situations to create desire. But in reality, attraction is internal. It is a reflection of how aligned your inner reality is with your outer expression. When your thoughts, beliefs, and energy match, you create a resonance that cannot be faked. That resonance draws people in naturally. It is magnetic because it is authentic, and the irony is brutal. The harder men try to manipulate attraction through external measures, the more artificial and weak their energy becomes. The world senses it, and attraction collapses. Let's talk about this in practical terms. When we say energy is more important than appearance, we're talking about several layers. The first layer is self-possession. A man who is aligned with himself does not need constant reassurance. He does not over-explain, overcompensate, or seek permission. His energy communicates certainty. He is enough as he is, and that is incredibly attractive. The second layer is emotional stability. A man who can navigate situations without reacting to every slight, without seeking constant approval, and without needing to prove his worth demonstrates strength in the most subtle yet powerful way. The third layer is authentic expression. People are drawn to men who express themselves genuinely, who speak, move, and act from alignment rather than performance. That authenticity resonates deeply because it mirrors a universal truth: humans are drawn to truth, to presence, to energy that is not manufactured. Think about it. How often have you seen older men who are calm, deliberate, and self-possessed command attention in a way that younger, more outwardly impressive men cannot? The difference is not their resume, it's not their wealth, it's not even their looks. It is energy. It is the invisible aura of alignment, confidence, and authenticity. And this is exactly why so many older men are shocked when they stop doing the things that seek validation and suddenly notice a shift in how people respond to them. When your energy changes, attraction responds immediately. And the best part, this is available to every man willing to understand it, cultivate it, and embody it. Now, let's dig deeper into why energy trumps appearance. Science tells us that humans respond to nonverbal cues before verbal ones. Your micro expressions, your tone of voice, your posture, all of these communicate far more than words ever could. Women, in particular, are extremely sensitive to these cues. They detect confidence, self-assurance, and calm energy before they even hear what you're saying. Conversely, they also detect desperation, uncertainty, and neediness instantly. That is why external measures like looks, money, or status, while helpful, cannot replace authentic energy. You may be dressed impeccably or have wealth, but if your energy is desperate, anxious, or insecure, attraction is neutralized. Conversely, a man with ordinary looks but magnetic presence creates desire instantly. And here's where psychology and philosophy intersect beautifully. Attraction is a reflection of inner alignment projected outward. If you are aligned with your own values, your own worth, and your own presence, the world responds in kind. This is why energy cannot be faked for long. You can try to act confident, to wear the clothes, to drop the lines, to stage the lifestyle, but if your inner energy is unaligned, it leaks. People sense the inconsistency. Authentic energy, on the other hand, is magnetic precisely because it is real. It does not need approval. It does not need manipulation. It does not need performance. It simply is. Now, consider the practical application. How do you cultivate this energy? It starts with awareness. Observe yourself. Notice when your energy is reactive, seeking approval, or trying to perform. Then make a conscious decision to realign. Stop bending for validation. Stop over-explaining. Stop comparing yourself to others. Instead, focus on internal coherence. Align your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Breathe into your presence. Walk with calm authority. Speak with deliberate intention. Move with certainty. And watch what happens. People begin to notice. Women are drawn. Respect is earned. Attention is given naturally. All of this without trying. All of this without effort. The beauty of this principle is that it compounds over time. The more you cultivate authentic energy, the more your presence grows. It becomes a feedback loop. Your energy draws attention. The attention reinforces your self-possession, and your self-possession deepens your energy. That is the invisible engine of magnetism that older men often overlook. They chase the external status, money, looks, while missing the internal source of attraction entirely. Once they discover it, the transformation is immediate and profound. And here's a subtle but crucial point: this principle is universal. It doesn't matter your age, your background, or your current circumstances. Energy is accessible to everyone. It doesn't require transformation of the body, acquisition of wealth, or mastery of superficial social tactics. It requires self-awareness, presence, and alignment. These are the invisible currencies of attraction, and they create a magnetic pull that is impossible to ignore. So today, I want you to reflect deeply on this. How much of your life is spent trying to impress externally, and how much is spent cultivating internal alignment? How often have you relied on looks, money, or status to create attraction when the real power was always within your energy? The older men who understand this principle, who embody presence, confidence, and authentic energy, do not just become attractive, they become magnetic. They command attention, respect, and desire in every room. And the moment they realize this, they stop trying. They stop performing. They simply exist in alignment, and the world responds. And here's the closing thought I want you to take with you: attraction is not earned through appearances or achievements. It is revealed through presence, through energy, through the alignment of who you are inside with how you carry yourself outside. Master that, and you become magnetic, unforgettable, and undeniably attractive. Now that we've explored the mistakes that keep older men invisible, and the transformations that come from stopping the chase for approval and understanding the real source of attraction, we arrive at the final key point, the ultimate truth that ties everything together. This is the part that most men will never hear anywhere else, and yet it is the part that will completely change the way you are perceived. Because once you understand this, everything else, the confidence, the magnetism, the attraction, becomes effortless. And that truth is simple, but it is powerful. When you stop doing what doesn't serve your presence and start embodying your true energy, the transformation is immediate. You become magnetic, respected, and undeniably attractive overnight. Let me explain this carefully. We've already discussed that seeking approval undermines attraction and that energy matters more than appearance. But what most men fail to grasp is that these principles are not gradual. They are not something that slowly accumulates over years. They are immediate. The moment you release the need for validation, the moment you stop performing for others, the world responds instantly. People notice the difference in your presence. Women sense it. Colleagues sense it. Even strangers sense it. And the reason is simple. Human beings are wired to respond to alignment, not effort. They respond to energy, not performance. Think about it. How often have you seen men transform almost overnight simply because they stopped trying to impress? One day they are unnoticed, overlooked, blending into the background, and the next day they walk into a room and the energy shifts. Conversations change, glances linger, opportunities appear. It is not a trick, it is not manipulation, it is authentic presence realized through conscious choice. When you stop doing what weakens your energy and start living in alignment with your worth, you trigger a natural magnetic effect that is impossible to ignore. And here is a critical insight that most older men never consider. This transformation doesn't require changing who you are. It doesn't require more money, better looks, or social clout. All it requires is self-awareness and deliberate action. You stop bending to expectations. You stop overcompensating. You stop seeking approval in conversations, relationships, or social settings. You step fully into yourself, and suddenly, the energy you radiate speaks louder than any words, louder than any achievement, louder than anything else you thought would make you appealing. That is the essence of instant attraction. Psychologically, what is happening here is fascinating. When you stop chasing validation, your nervous system relaxes. Your body no longer carries tension from constantly trying to impress. Your mind stops running the endless loops of comparison and worry. And when that happens, your energy becomes stable, grounded, and confident. Stability is magnetic. Calm confidence draws attention. Presence communicates worth. And here's the subtle but shocking part. People notice this even when you say nothing. It is invisible yet undeniable. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who carry themselves with this quiet certainty. They feel it before they see it. They sense it before you speak. And that is why older men who finally understand this experience a shift almost overnight. Now, let's consider the broader implications. This principle is not only about attraction, it's about influence, respect, and the way life opens up to you. When your energy is aligned, people naturally listen to you. Conversations take a different shape. Opportunities present themselves without effort. Doors that were once closed begin to open. And this is not coincidental. It is the natural response of the world to presence. The universe, in a sense, responds to energy. And when you cultivate magnetic, grounded energy, it mirrors that back to you. That is why older men who implement this principle see changes immediately, often without realizing exactly why. Here's where philosophy meets psychology. Seeking approval is a subtle form of surrender. It gives your power to others, even unknowingly. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim that power. You take responsibility for your presence, your energy, and your worth. That reclamation is profound because it creates a feedback loop. The more aligned you are internally, the more the world aligns externally. The more magnetic your presence, the more respect, attention, and admiration you naturally attract. And the cycle builds. That is the invisible engine of instant transformation that older men often overlook. Let's break down how this works in practice. Imagine a man walking into a room. Before, he might have checked himself constantly, worried about how he's perceived, tried to be charming or funny, or overstated his achievements. The result: subtle tension, invisible desperation, and unnoticed energy. After he applies these principles, he walks in differently. He is calm, present, and self-possessed. He doesn't perform, he doesn't explain, he simply exists. People notice immediately. Women notice. Conversations flow naturally, opportunities appear, and all of this happens without conscious effort. That is what I mean by becoming magnetic overnight. It is important to emphasize that this is not a gimmick. It is not about learning some pick-up trick or using external techniques to manipulate attention. That kind of strategy is temporary at best and transparent at worst. True transformation comes from internal alignment projected outward. It comes from understanding that your worth does not depend on others' validation. It comes from cultivating a presence that radiates confidence, stability, and authenticity. That is the kind of energy that creates instant attraction and commands attention. And here's the practical step that brings it all together. Start by observing your own behavior. Notice the moments where you seek approval, overcompensate, or perform for others. Then consciously stop, step into your presence. Align your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Walk into spaces fully aware of your worth, without needing validation. Speak and act with deliberate intention, and watch as the world begins to respond differently. That is the power of conscious alignment. It creates magnetic attraction almost immediately. Now, consider the ripple effect beyond relationships or social settings. This principle transforms your career, your friendships, and your sense of purpose. People naturally trust and respect men who radiate authenticity and energy. Leaders emerge from those who are grounded and self-possessed. Opportunities follow those who are aligned with their own value. And in all of this, the underlying mechanism is the same. The moment you stop doing what diminishes your presence, you start generating energy that draws everything you want toward you. Overnight, you are no longer invisible. Overnight, life begins to respond. The older men who understand this principle fully are often shocked at the speed of transformation. One day they are unnoticed, the next, they are magnetic. One day they are competing for attention, the next, people seek them out. And the reason is simple: their energy changed. Their presence became authentic, grounded, and confident. They stopped performing, stopped chasing, and started being. That is the single most powerful step any man can take toward instant attraction and influence. So I want you to reflect deeply on this today. Ask yourself, what am I still doing that diminishes my presence? Where am I still seeking approval or validation from others? What would happen if I simply stopped and aligned myself with my own worth? The answer is simple: everything changes. Your energy shifts. People notice. Opportunities appear. Relationships deepen. And your life begins to respond to the power of your authentic presence. And here is the final, most important point I want you to take with you. Becoming magnetic is not about changing your looks, your wealth, or your status. It is about claiming your energy, aligning your presence, and living in your worth. Stop doing what diminishes you, start embodying your true self, and watch how everything transforms overnight. That is the secret that older men rarely hear, and the secret that can change your life today.